What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the SB Fantasy Football Podcast, where, gosh darn it, gee willikers, we try hard. As always, I'm Alan.
I'm RD, what up?
It's been a minute. Like, we started doing some rankings, and then we just kind of stopped. And then the NFL draft happened, so we got all these rookies. We've had our first dynasty. We're in one dynasty league together,
Mhm.
and we just finished our draft for that.
Yeah.
We've got. I think we have a draft on Sunday.
Yeah, well,
Think. I don't know. Like Busby's all pushing it like, "Hey, draft Sunday, right, guys?" And everyone keeps telling him it's a national holiday. What the hell? What's up, Jacob?
yeah,
Uh,
it's May the 4th. Come on now. We got
right.
stuff going on. We got stuff to do.
Star Wars to watch.
Yeah.
I
Run
can't
there.
be busy with your football, you nerd.
What I'm
Uh,
what I'm doing is figuring out if I'm gonna run around with like a Darth Maul or a Vader, not Maul, it's a Kylo Ren or a Vader helmet with my lightsaber, or if I'm gonna put on like my stormtrooper helmet, give me a little pew pew action, roll around the neighborhood. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
I
But then
don't know.
like I said, I'll probably end up at a golf tournament. I don't know. My life sucks.
Yeah, yeah. I'm supposed to be at a softball tournament this weekend, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what the
Hopefully
weather
get rained out.
does.
There you go.
I mean, it might, and if it gets rained out, then I'm gonna be sitting in this seat facing this way watching Star Wars all day, you know? But, so we just had our first draft. How do you feel after you guys already did your draft? We had a rookie draft in one of our dynasty leagues
Yeah.
is what we did, Jacob. So, and then we've got another dynasty league that's doing a rookie draft, we think Sunday.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I have one other league that has a draft. It's a dynasty league, but we don't do that until 2 weeks before the season starts. And it's not that we don't have we used to have like the first round was just rookies. Well, now he's changed it and he got rid of the rookie round and it's all players that are available.
Yeah.
So,
If you're doing any type of redraft league or something like that, it's generally like the last week in August, right before the season starts. That's how far you want to push it down the line. But yeah, if you're in a dynasty league, folks just want to hop right back into it. I mean, the players have been drafted. That's something for you, something for you to do. There you go. Draft
and
time.
in this league, it's like had our free agency started. Like this league's a little bit. This dynasty league's different than our other ones. Our other dynasty leagues, there isn't a free agency period. It's just you have players and you keep them. Um, one has a one of one of the leagues I'm in has a salary cap, so I've got to make cuts, and then all the players that are available, there's no free agency. They go into a draft, and we kind of do a redraft of those players. But for the most part, you're holding on to a majority of your players. Um, this league that we're in had a free agency period that started, I want to say like a month ago.
It was in March.
Um,
So you had that, and you have limits on how many players from each position you can have and hold. There's a salary cap. It's kind of it's extensive. It's kind of
yeah,
it's the first time I've ever been in this league. Well, it's my second year now, but being in a league like this was definitely an eye weight. Like just yeah, it was crazy.
yeah. And then we just had our rookie draft goes over a period of a couple days. It's not we don't all just get together and knock out the draft. We do it goes through a like almost it goes through the message board essentially
Yeah.
is how it goes. Although the last 2 years the day that we have the draft is the day that CBS Sports does their maintenance on their website. So the website's down. Like
Yeah, I was on an airplane trying to make my pick. I was like, dude, and I had to like, I was on Southwest, so you get free live TV and all this other crap, but then you have to like opt in for messaging, for iMessaging and whatnot. And so I was like, all right, screw it. And then of course I had a couple come across and go, oh crap, I'm on the clock. So I started firing off text. Doing good, Duncan. How are you, bud?
what's up, Duncan? How we doing, brother? Hope all is well. Oh, Duncan's already in here with the questions. Pick two keepers: Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, A Chain, Evans, Terry McLaurin, and Cook. Well, Joe Burrow. I'm probably going with the top two. Like,
I always read that wrong anyways, where it's Jamar Chase. And always when I see Burrow and Chase next to each other, I'm like, yeah, you're good. I'm done there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd keep Burrow. Yeah, you can get him in like the third round. You kind of like when you have keepers, you start thinking about where do they go in the draft, right? And Burrow kind of goes in like the third round. I mean, he might go higher this year. I don't know because he balled out so hard last year. But then I'm knocking on wood. You know, it's every other year. Chase Brown looked great, but
I mean, Chase Brown is my favorite position player out of those guys, like non-quarterback player. I love Devin A. Chain, but if Tua does something stupid like he's done the last couple of years, and like tries to run for a first down and is leading with his head and is going
Mhm.
to miss time, we've seen it the last 2 years. When Tua is out, A Chain is worthless. You can't play him. You just can't play A Chain if Tua is out. I absolutely love Mike Evans. But I'm going to value it's PPR, so I'm going to value Chase Brown over Mike Evans in the PPR format because not only you get the rushing yards, you're going to get the receiving from Chase Brown out of the backfield. I love Terry McLaurin, I really do, but Chase Brown's better. Like at this point in time, James Cook, I really like James Cook, but again, Chase Brown is just. I just think he's more versatile. He's going to get some more red zone looks than James Cook is going to get because Josh Allen's going to take a lot of those away. Um, but yeah, I'm going Joe Burrow and Chase Brown, and I like the stack too.
Yeah, big
Right,
fan of the
that's
stack.
those are two players I want to stack.
Yeah, with the I'll tell you this right now. A Chain is. I've looked at a couple websites. A Chain is ranked higher than all these players. Um, Quite high actually. They got him
I
at say
don't agree.
13th.
I don't agree
So
with
Chase Brown obviously a little bit lower. Burrow, like I said, Burrow being like a third, fourth rounder kind of guy. It just with being a quarterback. But I could see him. Hey, someone wants to go after him. Let's be honest. Joe Burrow got most of these guys to the playoffs last year. It didn't work out in the final week. It's not, it just didn't. And but I like Burrow here. I do like Chase Brown, but
that.
Scary Terry and Mike Evans are really good options. I think later. When's this due by? Oh, after the draft. Did you ask that question? When's this due by?
No, he just said
Okay.
after the
Okay.
draft.
Uh,
Uh, but also also look at where you're drafting too,
mhm.
right? Because if you've got an early if you got one of the first picks, which I don't think if I remember correctly, Duncan won this league or was real close to winning the league.
Yeah,
So
he won 2 leagues, right?
he's probably got a late first round pick.
Still won.
Still won, right. So you've got a late first round pick. So maybe you go ahead and take someone like A Chain and kind of secure that running back room. But again,
Back to back, yeah.
you're dependent with A Chain. You're dependent on Tua. Um,
Well, if it's like our
staying,
redraft keeper league, it's we draw numbers or we do something, we have a way to determine it. So you technically could win and be the
well,
the, the number one spot.
yeah,
Yeah. And like I looked at mine, I decided to keep, Chase, and then I ended up with like the number one. I was like 101. I went CD Lamb, and then especially if you have multiple people you can keep two. In another league we played in, we were able to keep multiple people, so it was cool. 101 one back-to-back years in my one with Jacob. Nice.
there you go.
Nice, nice, nice.
Jacob, you
So
got to take him down this year. Duncan's getting a big hit over there. First of all, he thinks the Packers are good. There's the first. There's red flag. We're hitting the bell, right? Counting the red flags.
flags here.
Packers fan, ding.
But yeah, I mean, out of those guys, yeah, like I said, A
Last,
Chain is a tier 3 guy. If you go looking around, especially in PPR formats at right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna take someone. I gotta see what's going on. I gotta know where I'm picking. But I like Burrow, but I could always get Burrow in the third round. No one
but
else.
here's the thing. Last pick, Snake. So maybe you go ahead
Mm,
and go Chase and A Chain, and then you're able to pick up. You're maybe able to draft Mike Evans and Joe Burrow because you
yeah.
got that back to back. Lions will suck this year. Okay, Duncan. Yeah, you're gonna be
Mike
so
Evans is currently at 30. Scary Terry's at 32. Chase Brown's at 36. So right now, that's where everybody's ranked. I mean, everything does jumble just a little bit and get shifted around, and you also have injuries, right? There's always them, uh, you know,
that's crazy
Drew
to me.
Law, I think already tore his bicep. You know what I mean? So crap like that happens, and everything gets kind of shifted around and moved up. And then yeah, if something happens to Tua, I'm not taking A Chain. You know what I mean? Like A Chain stock drops. So looking forward to getting our rankings going. We're about 2 months away, I think, from actually getting them out and talking about them, because we usually do it about midsummer. But yeah, yeah. What do you want to talk about? Some rookies here? Are you surprised at all that Ashton Jonte is number one?
No, no,
in the
no, not at
rankings?
all. Like, as far as rookies are concerned, yeah,
Some
that's
folks got
not
them in the top 5, and I'm
yeah,
not
okay,
talking
yeah,
top 5
no,
RBs.
we're talking yeah, we're talking overall, which is absurd to me. Like,
Yeah.
I saw my first, like, ranking after the draft,
Mhm.
and I think Genty was, like, the number 4 in this one that I saw, and Gibbs was, like, number 8,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "This is in no world am I putting Genty ahead of Gibbs."
Well, they
Like,
just
I'm
wanted
just
clicks. They wanted clicks and interaction, and that's how you get it. Just say something absurd.
but
I mean, in any other rankings and stuff like that, say Fantasy Pros for whatever, they got him at 22, RB7. He's not even in the top 5 of running backs, right?
right,
So it's obviously it was done to have a little bit of fun, and I'm down. Hey, down to do that as well. Get some clicks, get some interaction, but you're going to get a lot of hate mail. I'll be honest with you,
yeah,
and some
because
discredit.
we were talking, like, not even, like, because like, sometimes you'll look at a player like a rookie and value him higher than a veteran in, like, a dynasty league, right? Because you're drafting for not just now, but for the future. It's the player I can get in on the ground floor on and be cheaper. But, like, not even in dynasty leagues am I taking Genty over Gibbs. Like,
Mhm.
it's not at no point in time is it ever a debate for me between Genty and Gibbs. Like, it's and it has nothing to do with me being a Lions fan. It just has to do with Gibbs is just I think Gibbs is gonna be your number one running back this year. Like,
Later,
in your
bud.
Duncan, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it, brother, as always.
Also, I'll tell you this, like say overall, right? Overall, Gibbs and Gentry, Genty, right? Genty.
Yeah.
They're in the same tier. They're both tier 2 guys. They ranked 5th, and the other ones are ranked 8th in certain leagues in PPR. And this is in Dynasty, right? Because you have Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Now, they got Bijan Robinson in here, which I think could be, yeah, I think I would actually kind of almost bump him out, even though he had a good year last year. He's RB1 in this league. But remember, Dynasty, right? CD Lamb is in there as well. You've already seen what he can't, or what happens to him when Dak isn't healthy, but it's going to
Well,
be the same thing. As long as he stays on his 2 feet this year, it's just going to be check down, maybe a long ball to him. He should have a bounce back year. But I
I
think him having him in the 8, like Genty being an 8, an RB3, I think that's a little just a little bit high. I mean,
it's
he's like
generous.
5 or 6
You're
spaces above Barkley.
you're still he shouldn't be ahead of Barkley. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm
he
saying.
should not. Not again, not even in dynasty formats, because I think we still got a good solid 4 to 5 years of Barkley being good.
Yeah,
Barkley's still pretty young. He's on a really good team with a great offensive line. My thing with Genty is, yeah, he's gonna get a lot of work, but he's on a bad team. Like, the
even with
Raiders
Pete
are
Carroll taking over and Geno being there, and it's a run first atmosphere. That's what he brings to the
but
table.
okay,
I think that's where
but
the boost is coming from.
so yes, you do add Geno Smith. So you've taken care of your quarterback situation. I feel better about their quarterback situation this year versus last year,
Mm.
but you're still looking at that offensive line's not that great. It's not like they revamped that offensive line. Yes, Pete Carroll's there. It's his first year there. I think you're going to have a year or two that's going to be kind of shaky. That I definitely feel like they can be a team that can compete for playoffs, but you're also you don't have a ton of great wide receivers out there either. Now they did go and spend a pick on a wide receiver. I want to say his name is or Beck, Jack Beck. Expecting some pretty decent things out of him this year. But I Geno Smith isn't a game changing quarterback either, right?
He's okay.
Geno Smith is a quarterback that if you put him on a good team, you'll be all right. If he's surrounded by the tool, like you take a look at when he came to Seattle and he succeeded. We got DK Metcalf, you got Tyler Lockett over there. You have a great run game over there in Seattle. So you surrounded him with a good offense and good tools and weapons. He doesn't have those tools and those weapons in Vegas that he did in Seattle.
Well, let's see
So
what we got here. So the starting right now, their depth chart. You got Geno, obviously, Ashton, running back, Jacoby Myers, wide receiver 1, Trey Tucker, wide receiver 2, Jack Beck, 3, Brock Bowers. Can he do it again? I mean, he was a
I mean,
target magnet last year.
you don't have a wide receiver that says I'm taking targets away from Brock Bowers.
Jacoby
right? And
Myers
that's
ain't
that's
bad.
part that's part. Jacoby Myers was there last year though.
Yeah, he ain't
So,
bad.
but
So
but he's not gonna. Brock Bowers is still the number one target out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just what I'm saying is
Like
if Brock Bowers can
it's
reproduce that with Geno Smith, and then that opens up the run game, obviously. And let's be honest, they've upgraded their running back. You know what I mean?
yeah,
you know, now
uh,
right now you got Raheem Mostert behind him, McCormick, and then Zamir White in the fourth hole there.
yeah. Which it's crazy because like last year, Zamir White was a guy that a lot of people loved because he finished off the year before pretty strong, but last year not that great.
Hmm.
Uh, but and here's my thing: like I've got the number one pick in two dynasty leagues that I have left, and they're rookie drafts. One's a rookie draft, one's a redraft, not a redraft. It's one where you keep a majority of your players. Um, and like it's the one I'm in with Chris. And he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, what do you think with your first overall pick?" I go, "Probably running back. Based off of what my team looks like. Don't really have a strong running back room." And he goes, "So Genty, right?" I go, "Probably, depending on again, it's dependent upon who's cut. Like we haven't had cuts yet either."
Oh, okay.
And so the players that you get 35 points or something like that for your roster. And so you got to go down and you got to make cuts. I'll end up keeping 6 players off of my roster probably. And so filling based off of that, there's going to be certain teams where I would probably expect someone like a CMC to be out there this year. Maybe not because he probably is not worth a lot of points because he didn't do much last year. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know that I would
Mhm.
really want to hold on to him because I kind of think CMC's done.
Yeah.
Like I haven't even really looked at my running back rankings, but I can guarantee you right now CMC's not in my top 10.
Yeah.
Like
Genty is he's your only tier one, RB1 um for the rookie draft or whatever. You got
well,
Omarion Hampton from he's at the Chargers, and then RB3 Quinshawn Judkins, Cleveland. And if you want to mix in a receiver, McMillan, wide
I'm,
receiver
I'm,
one.
I'm gonna tell you right now a guy that I like that's ranked pretty low. That I was actually kind of hoping I would get in the league that we just drafted in is Caleb Johnson. I
Okay.
like Caleb Johnson going to Pittsburgh. Uh, Najee Harris isn't there anymore. Jalen Warren's now the number one guy there, which I feel like Jalen Warren kind of is a better back than Najee has been, but Najee has gotten the majority of the carries there. Um, I would look for Caleb Johnson to actually have a pretty solid year this next year, and he's a guy that he's a rookie running back that I would like to draft. He's a guy that I have high on my draft board. Omari and Hampton, he's going to the Chargers, but they just signed Najee Harris.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see, right?
You start getting too crowded, and you're like, all right, well, I'm probably gonna have to take a back
Exact,
seat
yeah.
for a little bit.
Travion Henderson, he's there in New England with Ramondre Stevenson is still there. Ramondre's still a good running back. Look for Ramondre to lead that. Maybe Travion kind of takes over a little bit second half of the year type thing. Kind of like Gibbs did his rookie year. They kind of eased them into things with Mike Vrabel there. He's not going to. Derrick Henry didn't get a ton of carries his rookie year, right? Um, and he's a guy that probably should have gotten them, but he started getting them the second half of the year. He kind of worked him into the offense slowly, let the player adapt to the NFL. So you've got that there. Uh Quinshawn Judkins, I mean, probably Jerome Ford's still there, but he's coming back from an injury. Um Nick Chubb's not there. Nick Chubb's actually still a free agent. Um
Yeah, I don't think I'd want anybody from Cleveland. I need to find out who's starting, who's throwing the ball, who's hurt, who's actually going to play. There's a lot of things up in the air, and that's a team for
it's
me that I'm just like I don't know what's going on.
that's their quarterback room there is
Oh,
crazy.
God.
I want Hard Knocks in Cleveland this year.
Yeah, why not? Do it,
I
and
I
you're going to get it. You know you're
I
going to
want
get
it
it.
so bad because here's what you know what? Don't even give me Hard Knocks. Just give me let's have a QB room.
Prime time, baby.
Just preseason training camp QB room
Mm,
because you got Deshaun Watson, you got Kenny Pickett, you got Joe Flacco, and then they drafted Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders.
yeah. That's
What
what
the
do you think it's
hell?
gonna be? You know who it's gonna be. You know it's gonna be them this year. You know it's gonna be them. It can't be any
Like
other team. It's gonna be them because of the drama, because of the views, because of how wild ass everybody is on social media and every and all the
No,
accusations.
or give me the Bears. Let me give me back to back Bears, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and
I didn't
because
watch 1 second. Even though it was in my
I watched it
division I
all.
watched,
I
I didn't watch
watched it
1
all.
second of the
Listen,
in-season one, though.
oh, the
Yeah,
in season. I don't even know who the in season one
it was
was.
AFC North. I didn't watch
Oh,
any of
that's right. It was a whole division. That's right.
it. Yeah,
I
didn't
just
watch a
the
second.
in the season one. I don't really get into.
It
I want the training camp because you got the battles and things like that.
Yeah.
The in season is, eh.
I've already had
Look,
so much football, I don't want any more. That's
if
what
they
it is.
if they had give me an in season with the Jets, I
Oh,
would have watched that
train wreck.
just for the train wreck. And this isn't really fantasy football related, but it's football related. The whole Aaron Rodgers thing, right?
Yeah.
And like he went on there, he went he as he said, I flew out to New York on my own dime to go talk to Aaron Glenn and them to find out what it was going to happen. And he goes, and Aaron Glenn, here's why I don't have a problem with this. Aaron Glenn looks at him and says, "Are you interested in playing football this year?" Or said, "Do you even want to play football this year?" And he said, "I'm interested.
Oh god. I'm interested.
I'm interested.
I've got a
I'm
thought or
I'm
2.
out right there."
Yeah, yeah.
And
Agreed.
so was Aaron Glenn. Like,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh," I talked to him for like 2 minutes. He said, "Hold on." He goes and gets the GM. He comes back in there. He asked me if I want to play football. I really want to play football. I said, "I'm interested." And he goes and he looked at me. He goes, "We're going in a different direction."
And, it's
They
great.
met
I
for
flew out there on my
they
own
met for
dime.
5 minutes.
That's like, us saying that, you know what I mean? Because it would actually matter if we had to pay to go somewhere, you know what
But
I mean?
for
You
him,
you
it
you
doesn't,
know
right?
about it.
Aaron Rodgers, right? He's like, "Well, we could have done that over Zoom. That was just about if they knew they were gonna do that." No, I don't think Aaron Glenn necessarily knew. Like, I think he kinda, like, had a inkling, right? Because I think Aaron Glenn is a smart man, okay? He's not dumb.
He should have just zoomed in then. Should have just called and said, "Hey,
But
what's up?" You
he
know?
flew out there,
And
he's
then
like, "They
from
coulda
there
just told me we coulda done that over Zoom." Well, here's the thing, I think it would have been a different conversation if Aaron Glenn looks at him and goes, "Do you really wanna play football this year?" And he looks at me and goes, "Yes, I do.
yeah,
I
of
am
course.
all in. I have to, I owe this franchise more than what I've given over the last couple of years. Last year was a little bit rough. I was recovering from the Achilles. This year I'm back. I'm strong. I'm ready to go. Let's do this." I think that's a different conversation versus I'm interested.
I'm
You're
interested.
interested. Get out of my face.
I'm interested in the
And like
position. I just wanna
this,
know, like,
and
expectations
look
and
what's
pay.
going on with the Steelers. The Steelers are holding out for Aaron Rodgers to join them, and they're like, "Oh, we should be hearing from Aaron Rodgers any day now." Meanwhile, you just had a draft go through and you didn't draft a quarterback.
They're in
Like,
trouble.
I don't think they ended up drafting any quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't draft any of the top quarterbacks. I can tell you that.
Oh,
Um,
let me tell you their depth chart real quick. Mason Rudolph, Will
yeah,
Howard, Skylar
okay.
Thompson. And because every time Pittsburgh
Oh,
popped
so they
up,
drafted Will Howard, but
they were like, "Okay, what are we gonna do here?" Yeah, they d I think when they get Will Howard, was it in
oh, like 6th round,
it was late,
7th
right?
undrafted, 6th or 7th round or undrafted.
6th round, 185
Yeah.
overall, excuse me, from Ohio State.
It was
This
after
is
Shedeur went off the board. He went off the board in the 5th round.
yeah. So, 6th rounder. I mean, it was like every time that those because there's like only 3 teams, 4 teams that were actually looking for a quarterback. I mean, really. And every
Well,
time one of those teams kind of popped up, you're like, okay, was it going to happen? What are we doing here? And it was, I chuckled every time I did. I had a nice little chuckle because I just thought it was because it's chaos, right? And I'm a big fan of chaos and hell breaking loose and, oh Jesus, there we go. But all right, let's just talk. All right, real quick. Let's say your wide receivers. You have McMillan being technically a wide receiver one, or is it Travis Hunter? Who do you see being the better of the two and deserving? I mean, obviously Hunter, he got picked by Jacksonville. He's still listed as both ways. He might
he's
play
gonna
both
play
ways,
both no, he's gonna
majority.
play both ways. He's gonna
Yeah.
play both ways. He's gonna
They got kind of got the lottery
until
there.
until it's proven otherwise,
Yeah.
he's gonna go out there and he's gonna play both ways. And I think the thing that I thought was weird because they were talking to the Cleveland GM and they're talking, they obviously they had that number 3 pick and it was looking like or the number 2 pick. And it was like we knew Cam Ward was going number 1. the consensus was the Browns were going to take Travis with the number 2 pick. And they asked him, he's like, well, if you draft him, is he playing both ways? He goes, why wouldn't I? It's like it's like if you signed Otani and you only let him pitch or you only let him hit. You didn't let him do both. He's one of those players. He's like a unicorn, right?
Yeah.
He can do both things. You're going to let him do both because until proven otherwise, he's shown you in college he can do both. College is different than the NFL, but until he shows me otherwise that he can't do both, let's go, kid. Let's do
Yeah.
this, right? And until either he shows that he's lacking in one or the other, or he comes up to me and says, "Hey, coach, I can't. I don't think I can do both anymore. I think it's a lot. What? Let's do this. What should we focus on, right?" Uh, but yeah, I mean, you got a player that can do both. Now, as far as fantasy is concerned, I like Travis Hunter's situation more than I do McMillan. The thing that's crazy is like you got all these people going out there. It's like, oh, you let Bryce Young get a true number one. What do we think Xavier Leggett was last year? Like he started off the year slow, but he finished the year strong, and so did Bryce Young. Bryce Young finished the year strong.
Once, yeah, I mean, once he was what was his name?
He got benched.
Deontay Johnson. You know,
Oh yeah,
he left because he was. Let's be honest, he was on fire.
problem.
But he was a problem. There was something going on, but he was on fire with him and Bryce
You're a
Young.
problem.
You're a real problem. You sound like anybody talking to me at a bar on a Saturday night. You're just a problem. But anyways,
just Saturday night. We're just going to narrow that down to one night.
Pick any day of the week. But when he was out there, he was actually doing really good. And then you're like, okay, so he got cut, traded. I think he got traded first, and then it started just all right. Now he's getting dropped. Now he's getting dropped. Now he's getting dropped. Like, what the hell's going on with this guy? But yeah, Leggett,
3 other teams after that. It was ridiculous.
Leggett, whatever his name, however you want to say, because I'm terrible with names.
The most country person you'll ever talk to. That dude he was eating raccoon on Thanksgiving.
Funny.
Like, yeah.
And so yeah, and then he showed up. It's like, okay, good. Young's getting a little bit more comfortable. He's got some weapons. Hubbard was having a good year too. So he had some great throws. He had some good plays, and he became Leggett was just a better player.
Bryce Young got benched last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he sat down and he watched. Andy Dalton was there last year, right? If I'm not mistaken, was it the
Dalton was there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he watched Dalton work week in and week out, and I think it taught him something. I really do. And he came back and he finished the year strong. Is he going to be high in my QB rankings? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
Anybody can have a few good weeks, right? But he showed you something that we didn't see the first year and all that. So look for Bryce Young he might be one of those guys that you take a late round flyer on or you pick him up as a free agent after the first couple weeks as he shows like, hey, I've kind of got this figured out. But I like the quarterback situation for Travis Hunter more than I do McMillan. I just think last year was a down. I still like Trevor Lawrence, and I still think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I think he was just kind of in a bad situation. Look for them to kind of rebound. Now we'll see what's going on with Duval. Right? But you're changing things up, right? And you're bringing in a good offensive coach. Doug Peterson before that was kind of he was good, and then he kind of tapers off some, right? And he's had a lot of stops since his stop there in Philly. That just kind of he won the Super Bowl, and then it just all went downhill from there. And then his career hasn't rebounded since then. He might end up being one of those guys who's better set as a offensive coordinator, kind of going forward type thing, versus being the guy. But look for Trevor Lawrence to rebound this year. I really feel like he's a guy who's going to have a better year this year, and I think Travis Hunter is going to be part of that. But also the emergence of Brian Thomas Jr. Travis Hunter doesn't have to be the number one guy. That's the thing that's one thing I like about that, and also with McMillan. McMillan doesn't have to be the number one guy. There's two rookies, two second-year players in both of those situations, either in Xavier Leggett or Brian Thomas Jr., and those are both guys that shown the second half of the year to be arguably top 10 wide receivers, you know,
Yeah, I
real
mean,
close to that.
it's like, let's be honest. I mean, with Brian Thomas Jr., he's going to get his targets. He's a big dude. Travis Hunter is the one that's going to make you hurt. It's the guy, the playmaker kind of fella, and oh, buddy, it's going to be crazy.
But it's also gonna be, let's see what he can do in the NFL, because the NFL is different. Again, just the level of play is so much different than it is in college. Um,
A little bit different. A little bit different.
it's a completely different class, right? Um, you look at, I mean, let's just there's one guy that was drafted last year, Elick Ao Manor, who actually got drafted to Tennessee, played for Stanford, and when he went up against Travis Hunter last year, torched him, lit him up, lit his ass up last year, over 100 yards, just balled out. Um, so we'll see, right? There's going to be very few. Almost every wide receiver he lines up against this year in Jacksonville is better than any of the wide receivers he lined up against last year in Colorado. Let's just be honest.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, that was one of the biggest things that I talked about throughout the whole season. I'm like, they don't play anybody, right? The first year they didn't play nobody. Second year they didn't really. They struggled against good teams, bigger teams. Remember when Oregon, when their line
yeah,
were anywhere near their defensive line? Those are big dudes.
that first year there, Colorado had zero offensive line.
Yeah,
A little bit better last year, but not great.
yeah.
I think they'll be better this year, but we're not talking college football. But I McMillan, I like him. I like Hunter. Um, I I don't know some of these other receivers. You've got some guys that are here, but you're looking at situations like, I think the number three ranked wide receiver is Emeka Ekubuka, but he's playing with Tampa.
I've got
And,
Luther Burden with Chicago.
well, okay,
He's playing with Chicago.
I got
I mean,
Luther. What
yeah,
I'm looking at, Luther Burns number 5, right? But you've got Romo Dunze, you've got DJ Moore, you've got Cole Kmet, you
there's a
got
lot of
Love. There's just
outstanding.
a ton of there's a lot that only got one football,
Yeah,
right? And let's just be honest, while their offensive line has improved, it's not great.
yeah.
And you've got a quarterback in Caleb Williams, where I do expect the offense to be better this year with Ben Johnson.
Mhm.
But also, I think Ben Johnson, he's going into the season planning on calling plays. He's got to realize he's in charge of a lot more than the offense. We'll see how that goes. He's not going to be able to just focus on the offense. He's got to focus on everything. Um, but you've
Can
also
I?
got a quarterback in Caleb Williams that, admittedly, he said there was a lot of games that at the end of the game last year, he went home and he cried.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Uh,
Like, I don't want to hear that. That doesn't strike me with confidence for my quarterback, right? And
mhm.
hey, I get, yeah, he expected to come into the NFL and light the world on fire. He told his punter, "Don't worry, you're not going to spend much time on the field."
Yeah.
And the punter decimated him in yards this last year. I mean, it wasn't even funny, right?
Well,
Their offense wasn't great. They won what, 5 games, I think it was. They were just a bad team.
mhm.
He was constantly under pressure,
Their
making bad
defense
choices.
won them more games than he
If it
did.
wasn't for that defense, they would not have won a game.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
5 games they won were because of that defense. But then again, at the same time, they also lost that Washington game because of the defense,
Yeah.
right?
Hey, double-edged sword, man. Double-edged sword.
Let's look at that. But
Um,
yeah, I
Obviously, you don't see him, being an impactor on the field even that much. But what about Matthew Golden, Texas, going up to Green Bay? You know,
how many wide receivers does Green Bay need though? Like,
they keep getting more.
you still have Christian Watson's there. You still have Jaden Reed.
Mm.
You still have who's the other?
You got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. Those are your ones. Romeo Dobbs,
Romeo
Devontae
Dobbs,
Wicks. Those are your twos. You
Devontae
do have
Wicks.
McCole Hardman still there,
Look,
and then
well,
now
they
you have
just signed McCole Hardman,
yeah.
and then you draft this guy. Like, what are they doing?
He's technically right now listed as your wide receiver 3, your starting wide receiver 3, Matthew Golden.
I mean,
So
yeah, but
yeah,
you've also
right now they've got 12 receivers.
which is ridiculous,
I
right?
mean, they got 4 tight ends.
I feel like you had other things that you probably should have focused on, like maybe that offensive line, because Jordan Love was under pressure all year.
He's on his
Uh,
ass all year. Yeah.
I feel like you were wide receiver was a situation that you were kind of set on, but your quarterback was always running for his life,
Mhm.
was always hurt. So I feel like you maybe should have focused on that offensive line some, but whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. Trey Harris with the
Chargers.
Chargers,
Mhm.
y- you don't know what's going on there. You've got a bunch of young guys, but very few have really stepped up. Um, Jane Higgins with Houston, but I feel like Houston's okay wide receiver wise, but they went hard. They got Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Uh, two guys that are ranked in what I'm looking at in the top 10 of wide receivers
Mhm.
this year. A guy that I like, I talked about him earlier, Elik Ayo Manor, the Tennessee. There's not a lot of competition out there in Tennessee.
Nah.
There's not, and so you got a guy like that
Got
that you drafted.
Ridley. Who else is out there? Yeah, you got Ridley and somebody else. Not a lot of talent. Not a lot going on
Yeah,
out there.
a new quarterback, Cam Ward, right? When you bring in these are
Oh,
guys that they're going to get some work
hold on.
together.
Well,
Yeah,
so you got Calvin Ridley and Van Johnson, your ones. You got Tyler Lockett and DK
yeah,
is your
they
two.
just signed Tyler Lockett like the day before the draft, I think
Yep.
it was.
And then Burks
Uh,
is listed as your wide receiver 2. But Elick is right behind him, so he's going to be a wide receiver 3. Obviously, he's made for that spot. So
I think Elick will be the number 3 guy there, and this is a guy that I'm actually expecting some pretty decent things out of. Again, this is a guy that I was talking about that torched Travis Hunter. Um, last year when they played against each other.
okay,
So he's a guy that I do like. Jalen Royals, they got drafted for the Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yep.
He's another guy to kind of keep an eye on. Um, just at Utah State, 126 catches, 1,900 yards, 21 touchdowns over 20 games in his last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Um,
He's more like take a flyer on. But dynasty though, I mean, some of these guys you got to get in and
yeah,
draft them or whatnot. But
uh, Pat Bryant, a guy that you actually drafted.
mhm,
I like him there in Denver, especially since you don't know what's going on with Cortland Sutton. There's a lot of rumors going around that they might trade Cortland Sutton off. Cortland Sutton's hit 30 as well. And that's that magic number for wide receivers for whatever reason. When you hit 30, all of your production drops off. So you're bringing in a young guy there with a young up and coming quarterback in Drake May, not Drake May, Bo Nix. I'm
oh,
sorry,
Knicks,
Bo
yeah.
Nix. That I absolutely love. I thought Bo Nix was awesome last year. He
Had a
took a
great
couple.
year.
He took a few games to kind of catch on, but that was also Sean Payton working him into the offense, taking his time. They ran the ball a lot more at the beginning of the season than they did the second half of the season as they let Bo Nix get comfortable with the NFL game. Um, so that's another player that I like there
There
for
you
sure.
go. Well, there you go. There's some rookie information from you, for y'all from us or whatnot, and who we like, but still really early. It's April 30th, so it's gonna be you got OTAs. We got mandatory, or I think non-mandatory, then mandatory workouts, OTAs, everything else. The summer will be
Rookie
here before you know
camps
it. Yeah, rookie
coming
camps.
up. You still have some. There's still some good free agents out there. Again, Tyler Lockett just signed.
Just did.
Nick Chubb is a free agent, and he's posting videos of his workouts where like he's doing like some like jumping where he's like almost just straight jumping over things, and it's like getting higher and higher, and he gets to the end and he jumps up and he hits his head on the ceiling. Like I think Nick Chubb is someone who he came back last year after a horrific injury um,
I've
on a
heard.
bad team
Mm.
and didn't do too much, but he was just coming off a really bad injury. I think Nick Chubb is someone who this year, depending on the situation, and he might be one of those guys that might not sign somewhere until there's an injury, right? There's going to be an injury during training camp or during the preseason. Um, and Nick Chubb will probably be one of those guys that signs right away. And he's someone that either you're going to draft really, depending on when your draft is, you're either going to draft him really late and be all right, or pick him up as a free agent after he signs with a team. So he might have 1 or 2 years left. We'll see.
There you go.
But yeah. Who's the number one rookie you're excited about this year?
Me? Are you talking to the people?
You.
Genty. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean that. I did. I mean, I like Hunter if I can get him in a league. Obviously Golden as well. But yeah, I mean, I think I know, and we've talked about this every year too. We don't even put rookies very high in our rankings, anyways, because you're like, okay, unless it's like the perfect situation, like we didn't like bail on Saquon or anything like that. We're like, no, this guy's gonna be a stud,
right? But I also think that's changed over the last couple of years with the leagues, the way the league is gone, right? Where they're putting the quarterbacks out there to start with. And they're actually coming in pretty decent. They're not letting these running back. You get a rookie running back, you put them out there right away. You don't want to let them sit there for a year or two. And wide receivers have actually started to pick up the game a little bit quicker. I mean, look at what Malik Neighbors did last year, right? Malik Neighbors had a great year last year. I'm excited to see Travis Hunter this year. I want to see if he can do both ways, but I'm a little bit excited. I want to see what Cam Ward can do, because actually the more I see on Cam Ward, the more I like the guy. Like, you see all these things like him and Shedeur are part of a workout, right? And Shedeur's sitting there, he's talking to him. And he's like, at one point, Shedeur goes, man, we need to record a song together. And Cam Ward looks at me and goes, I'm a football player, bro. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Him and what's Jackson Dart going to do there in New York? I like the situation for Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Tyrone Tracy. They drafted Cam Scadaboo, Malik Neighbors.
I was going to say I'm excited about Cam Scadaboo. I was like, well, we'll see what he can do. You know what I mean? So
he doesn't have to be the guy. You can just put time with Tyrone Tracy, and Tyrone Tracy actually showed to be actually a pretty competent running back last year. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. Those two quarterbacks, I'm excited to see what happens. I don't know, man. I'm looking forward to the season. Who's the rookies you guys are excited about? Have you already had a draft? You're starting to get into the rookies. You're doing free agency. You're picking out your keepers. What are you doing? Tell us. Tell us now. As always, I'm Alan.
I'm RD.
We'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.